Bom, agora vamos embarcar rumo ao Qatar, no Oriente Médio, para falar com Francisco Marmolejo, presidente de ensino superior da Qatar Foundation. Roda a vinheta.
Education at the Qatar Foundation.
Tá no mute agora?
E para
Obrigado, Nath. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to introduce guests from Qatar. I've been there since 2018, each and every year, participating in a very specific program to develop entrepreneurs. And I was able to see firsthand what's going on in Qatar, not just in terms of innovation, education, but also how they are envisioning the development of new entrepreneurs. And this was my personal journey, and because of that we were able to connect with them and invite them to come here to share with us today more about what they are doing there, how they are changing the country, what are the prospects for the future, as well as more information on how they understand education. They have been doing a complete transformation in there, changing the premise of the country from being a gas-based economy towards becoming a knowledge-based economy. And this is so amazing that it's my pleasure to host two speakers from Qatar today. We're going to have first Francisco Marmolejo, and he's going to be presenting about the entire educational perspective that is being funded by Qatar Foundation. On the other hand, right after, we're going to host and welcome John McIntyre, and he's going to be talking about like from the development point of view, from the innovation point of view, what's going on up there. So I guess there is a lot I could say, and I could share a lot of stories based on my own, as I said, my own journey of being there for 4 years in a row and participating in programs to develop and mentor new entrepreneurs. But it's going to be much better to hear from our guests. I guess another thing that I can say before passing through Francisco is that for a Brazilian, the Middle East as a whole is kind of an unknown region. We don't know that much about it until traveling around, until visiting some countries there. Within this entrepreneurial journey of mine, and trying to mentor and foster the startup development and ecosystems in there, I didn't have any idea of innovation, about technology, about tech-driven or impact-driven entrepreneurship in the region. Actually, I didn't have any ideas whatsoever about almost anything there. So by being able to visit, my first time in the region was like in 2016, visiting Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and I was able to meet people from accelerators. I was able to meet people from the startup ecosystem. It was kind of in the early stage, and I was caught by surprise. Really, it was unbelievable. So from that point on, later on in 2018, I visited Qatar for the first time, invited by the Qatar Foundation to be a chief mentor in a program that is a joint program together with the European Innovation Academy, and it's focusing the entire region, 27 countries, and they were sponsoring scholarships for entrepreneurs and young university students from all over the region to be in one place to learn how to become entrepreneurs, how to build a startup, how to start a business from scratch. And the first edition in 2018 was like my first time in Qatar. First time, like I spent almost 3 weeks there. I was able to connect with not just the culture, but also with more that was happening. And seeing a foundation that was sponsoring this kind of development, like human development, like entrepreneurial development, top tier in the world, in a region that was welcoming university students that didn't have enough money to attend a program like this, but they were funded by Qatar Foundation. They went to Qatar, and by joining teams, they were able to learn how to build a new business. I can tell you, for example, that the first edition, we were able to, one of the startups that I have worked for and with the founder during the program is still out there. They have won MIT awards. They have got to the finals of international awards. They got invested, and they have launched a company that is focusing on clean energy and dealing with solar energy out of a research from a Lebanese student and the experience they had during the program. And like this one case, we have many others. So it is important to say that the main reason, one of the main reasons for this event today, the Go On, is not just to help us to go on with our lives and everything else, since we have been experimenting the pandemic, but more than that, it's to help us to go on and connect, go on and travel around, go on and make sure instead of being biased towards whatever, like connect with people. The problems that we're living, the problems that we're trying to solve, they are pretty much the same everywhere. And there are bright people, awesome people, doing a lot of amazing things everywhere. So I was able to learn this lesson by traveling worldwide, helping entrepreneurs and working and mentoring entrepreneurs all over the world. But this program in Qatar, I have amazing memories from that, because at the end of 2018's edition, I remember some students coming back to talk to us, mentors, saying things like, well, I don't know how to thank you enough for being here for us, to support us. They were learning about collaboration, leadership. They were learning about not just building a business, but also building connections outside of the region, inside of the region. And that's something we need to learn here in Brazil. Unfortunately for us, we do have like a very, very small exchange of university students compared to the OCDE. Just to give you a number, we have like more or less 0.5, 0.6% of our entire base of university students go overseas for an exchange. The average on the OECD countries is like 11 times bigger than that. So this is just to give you an idea of how enriching it is to connect and to get to know what's going on in other places. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Francisco Marmolejo and to invite him to take the stage and do his presentation on a TED talk-like approach. And he's going to share with us a lot of what's going on, the changes that they are fostering and they are implementing in Qatar, and where they are going with this vision of having a knowledge-based country. Thank you very much, Francisco, for being here with us. It's a great pleasure for me to host you and guest speakers from Qatar. Please feel free to take the stage. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I truly Appreciate the opportunity to share some perspectives, Rodrigo, today on the very interesting case that Qatar is having, which I truly believe it is unique in the world. And more specifically, I will make a reference to the work being done by Qatar Foundation as an entity that has been sort of designated to, as officially has been known, to unlock the human potential in Qatar. As we observe economies and societies all over the world, we have seen a shared aspiration in many countries about the importance of transitioning towards the so-called knowledge-based economy. And we find, on one way, that this legitimate aspiration of many countries, of course, faces the challenges associated with inadequate governance, with lack of resources, with a regulatory framework which is not conducive to achieving those aspirations, and many, many limitations that we observe all over the world as we analyze these cases. In my personal case, I have been privileged to work for it all my life in higher education in different countries, more recently at the World Bank as the global coordinator for higher education and as a lead specialist in education for India and South Asia. So I have been privileged to see the evolution of educational systems and their contribution towards the knowledge-based economy in more than 80 countries, including Brazil and including many in Latin America and in other parts of the world. But what we analyze the case of Qatar, we see a very interesting combination of factors. On one way, a very strong vision towards the transition of the economy towards the knowledge-based economy. And secondly, the establishing of adequate organizations in order to support that transition. Let's go back a little bit in the analysis of time, because I think it is important to see the fact that Qatar is a relatively new country. In fact, it's a country younger than myself. And it is an economy that for many years was sort of relying on the pearls to survive. And at a certain point, the country discovered that they have among the highest natural reserves of gas in the world. And that's when they decided that, first of all, those reserves would not be there forever. Secondly, that it was better to try to use them, the resources resulting from those reserves, in an adequate way, and that the best way to do that was by investing in the future. And the investment of the future was precisely on two fronts. One, in education. Second, in infrastructure. At the same time, the country experienced an interesting transition towards openness to the world. In fact, today, Qatar is a multi-cultural country that, of course, is rooted on the Arab values. It is a society in which you can find people from all over the world. In fact, today, the majority of the population in Qatar comes from different parts of the world. About 80% of the total population of the country comes from other countries. The Qatari population is relatively small in comparison to the total population living in Qatar. So how to create those conditions in order to attract people from all over the world, but secondly, create an environment that allows precisely the nurturing of the knowledge-based economy and society? Well, a significant element of that has been Qatar Foundation. And Qatar Foundation, what is there? Well, Qatar Foundation is a unique, I might say, social and economic experiment in the world. It is an entity that it was established 25 years ago by the Emir and by his wife, Sheikha Mosa, which currently serves as the chairperson of the foundation. And the sort of the goal of this organization, which is a private organization supported by government, is as simple as unlocking the human potential. What a powerful message in a very simple way, unlocking the human potential. How to do that? Well, basically, Qatar Foundation was established with three main goals. The first one, education. The second one, research. And the third one, community development. So bringing together all these three elements in order to unlock the human potential has been seen as the formula precisely to advance that particular goal. So in education, what Qatar Foundation has done? Well, they have done something which I find really fascinating. And again, observing systems of education all over the world, to me, it is really fascinating to observe. First of all, Qatar Foundation established within the foundation the entire educational pipeline. So now you have a combination of educational institutions that starts from kindergarten up to doctoral education. So you have all of those institutions under the same umbrella. This resolves one of the key challenges that we see in different parts of the world, where we observe a highly segmented education system. You have elementary education as a silo, secondary education as a silo, and higher education as a silo. Here at Qatar Foundation, we have been able to bring together all those levels of education in order to start building the educational foundations of the citizens of tomorrow from the beginning, from the kindergarten experience. Now, this assortment of institutions also has a very unique characteristic, that each of the institutions which are part of the umbrella of Qatar Foundation have a unique personality. You have, for instance, the case of Academiati. Academiati is a school with no curriculum. It's a school in which teachers are not teachers, are facilitators, are enablers of the learning experience of the students. In fact, the students are not being seen as students, but as learners. And again, you can continue within the same set of sort of combination of different institutions in this educational pipeline. Now, let me tell you briefly about higher education. In higher education, what Qatar Foundation did as a pioneer entity globally was to attract to Qatar the best higher education institutions in the world, and asking them to replicate their educational offerings in the context of Qatar, for Qatar and also for the region and even for the world. So as of today, this educational ecosystem at the higher education level has been allowed to bring together institutions such as Georgetown University, Cornell University, Virginia Commonwealth University, Texas A&M University, Carnegie Mellon University, Northwestern University, a University College of London, HSC in Paris as well. All of those institutions who have been coming to Qatar Foundation. And also, in addition, a home ground university, graduate university has been established, which is the Hamad bin Khalifa University. So all of those institutions from kindergarten to doctoral education are housed at a unique complex, which is known as Education City, in which you can find this richness of different educational environments within the same umbrella. For instance, at the higher education level, students from each of these educational institutions can take courses from any of the other institutions. There is a cross-registration system allowing to happen all these interactions between the different students, in between the different academic programs. As part of the strategy in higher education, we are working towards the creation of what we refer to as the Universal Skills Passport. What is that? Well, it is a mechanism that allow institutions to have a flexible learning that will provide them with a unique a set of tools that not only are related to their profession, but also are related to life. So today in the world, we hear about the need for graduates of higher education being individuals that have critical thinking skills, entrepreneurship skills, values, of course, who have also capacity to work in teams and capacity to work in multicultural environments. So what we are doing at Qatar Foundation is providing those skills to the students, certifying those skills, and also, in addition to their diploma awarded by the respective university, also providing them with this universal skills passport. Another initiative, which is part of the strategy.
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry
okay.
for interrupting you, but before we host you, I was just sharing with our audience my own journey and my own experience over the last 4 years participating in the AIA program at Education City, as well as some of the stories. I was sharing some of the stories that we have lived during my time spent in Qatar. So I just would like to say that I have experienced myself exactly what you were saying. So I've been there for 4 years, from 2018 until 2020. Yes, exactly, until 2020, 3 years. And we have participated in a program designed to help university students to learn how to become entrepreneurs, exactly to the point that you just mentioned. And I was able to get to know the entire Education City, all the infrastructure that you have in there, and also this vision of preparing and unlocking human potential. I just interrupted you because I would like to testify myself on everything that you are saying. And if you allow me to ask, like, I would like to better understand from this point on, what are you planning to accomplish? Because I must say it was, I have traveled a lot, working with entrepreneurs, mentoring, helping entrepreneurs to build startups, helping ecosystem builders in different places in the world. But Qatar is, for me, exactly what you said, a very unique example. So if you could share with us a little bit more about the vision from now on, because yes, you are absolutely right. It's amazing everything that was done in Qatar. And I'm just personally curious on what now, from now on, what now?
Well, it is very clear, Rodrigo, that there is Vision 2030, which is the major sort of a national guidance, if you want, for development in Qatar. So it is very clear that for Qatar, becoming a hub of many realms is a significant aspiration. One of them, of course, is education and innovation hub. For Qatar, is very clear that the future is connected to the knowledge-based economy. It is very clear that natural resources as such won't be there forever, and that the best long-term investment for the country is precisely on the human capital. And also that for Qatar, is Qatar for the world is also a significant sort of vision towards the future. So, for Qatar, again, if you take a look to the national guidance in terms of Vision 2030, it is very clear that, again, resources won't be there forever in the traditional way, that a dramatic transformation of society should happen, and that Qatar wants to become that a hub of innovation, that beacon of innovation, I might say, that capacity to attract the best talent in the world, that capacity to develop the best talent locally based on the needs of the economy and society. And of course, there are very significant investments that the country is making towards the future. One that has to do with artificial intelligence. There is a significant work being done in which, of course, Qatar Foundation is a significant player into that. It is well known globally that as a robotization is happening in the world, and that as many traditional jobs will either disappear or transition, it is known that about 30% of the current jobs are going to be not viable anymore in the future. So for the country, that is a clear understanding about precisely the type of transition that it should happen. So in addition, again, going back to the concept of education city, in addition to the educational institutions that I was describing, the part of the ecosystem also includes the National Science and Technology Park, the Research, Development and Innovation Council, and other entities that are precisely working towards creating conditions not only to educate people, but also, of course, to nurture the development of new ideas, entrepreneurial elements, the hosting of companies that are going to be precisely aimed at, supporting this transition of the economy and society in the country. And of course, another significant element of this transition has to do, of course, with values in society. So how to foster that transition, not only preparing the best knowledge workers of the future, but also knowledge workers of the future nurtured in strong values towards society, towards family, towards well-being in general of society. So another element that also is part of the the vision for the future of Qatar has to do with the idea of sustainability. So artificial intelligence, knowledge-based economy, sustainability is another element that is very clear in the understanding of today's world. So Qatar is a country that, of course, because the type of economic base, of course, is a country that also serves as a hub of a major network of transportation globally. And Qatar is very mindful of the fact of the ecological footprint that all of those industries have, but it's committed as well to foster a transition to a more sustainable economy and society. So many of the work that is being done in Qatar University, but also in Qatar Foundation institutions, is associated with this idea of sustainability. Qatar Foundation houses the Qatar National Sustainability Council, which is precisely defining what are the best policies that the country can have in order to transition towards this more sustainable society. And Qatar Foundation, Education City, serves also as a testing place, if you want, in which some of those innovations can be put in place. For instance, right now, Qatar is investing a lot, as you can imagine, in the infrastructure related to the World Cup, which is going to be happening in late 2022. The building of the stadiums for World Cup is being done with the highest, sustainability standards, I might say, including the one at Qatar Foundation. One of the stadiums for the World Cup is going to be the stadium at Education City in Qatar Foundation. So the stadium that has been built in Qatar Foundation is precisely following those global standards for sustainability. A portion of the stadium, once the World Cup is going to be ending, is going to be disassembled and is going to be donated to countries which also, after the World Cup, will have their own sports infrastructure. And so this is part of the significant transition also that the country is working on. And the other area of priority for the future also has to do with biotechnology. So there is a significant investment being made in the country. And again, Qatar Foundation is highly sort of involved in this, in all investments that the country is making in terms of biotechnology. So those are some of the priorities that the country already has in place as part of the Vision 2030. There is a clear understanding that time is against us, because we know, again, that the current conditions in the world, and also the limited transition that the world is facing, is providing us both with a significant challenge, but also with a significant opportunity. Qatar is a country, again, in which I have seen these ideas being translated into concrete actions, as you, Alvaro, have experienced personally. And also from a social standpoint, is such a fascinating country in which you find people from all over the world, languages from all over the world, and also, one of the safest country that exists, and a country which is also very open, very tolerant to ideas that go beyond these traditional perceptions that we have about some of the countries in the region.
Francisco, well, first of all, it's been a pleasure to host you here and to get to know more and to share with the audience more about Qatar. Some of the things that you just mentioned, I have experienced myself in person. I was even expecting to attend the Arab Innovation Academy last January to get to know the stadium. I saw the stadium being built, but unfortunately this year we didn't have the in-person program due to the pandemic. We're gonna have it like an online edition later this year, and next year I guess we're gonna be there in person. But just to summary up, because unfortunately we need to move on, and it's been again a pleasure. Could you like in one phrase, could you say something about Qatar that people outside of the region must know, like a phrase, just to finish up our panel?
Well, I might say innovation hub for a better future. That's the way I describe Qatar. I see the case of Qatar as a very interesting case that gives me hope that some of the plans, some of the ideas, some of the initiatives that I see happening in place are possible as well in other parts of the world. In my personal journey, I can tell you, I have been working for 40 years in higher education all over the world. And always I have made the point about the importance of transitioning towards an education which is more inclusive, which is more innovative, which is more disruptive, which is preparing really people not only for the profession, but for life. And I can tell you now, based on my experience at Qatar Foundation, that this aspiration is not only an aspiration. It is possible, because I have seen that on a day-to-day basis as I observe the interesting work that Qatar Foundation is doing. And of course, the investment that a society such as Qatar is making towards the future, precisely by making the point about the importance of education. I truly believe that education is the best investment for the future of societies. And I have seen now in Qatar that this investment that Qatar is making towards the future is paying back, because now we can see that that vision that existed 25 years ago about establishing a unique ecosystem, it is, of course, resulting in that aspiration of unlocking the human potential.
Very much, Francisco. It's been a pleasure. I hope we can meet each other next time I'll be in Qatar. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Have a nice day. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.